Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor. I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now today, I want to talk about the case that has been in the news a lot recently and has been blowing up and going on and kind of driving discussion around the situation happening with the child Charlie Gard and his parents' continual kind of pushback against what the medical professionals and now the courts have been telling them, and the amount of noise that they are putting out there. I have seen an awful lot of people, but either in the news or in other forms of media, including on YouTube, coming forward and going, "Oh well, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is all of these things," and it's like I've taken a look at what's been said and what's been done, and I feel like a lot of them are missing the point because of this poor child's condition and the fact that it is a child. And as a result, I wanted to just jump into it. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Gard is a kid suffering from mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome, who basically has almost his entire body affected by this, to the extent that he can't breathe on his own, he can't see, his muscles are all weakened, his heart, like liver, kidneys, and so on, are all affected by this. And then on top of that, he's also deaf and apparently has quite severe epilepsy, according to the information put out by Great Ormond Street Hospital, where he's being treated or has been treated. And as a result, it has basically his condition has been taken into a full account, and it's been ultimately advised by the doctors in his care, who, if for those of you who don't know, Great Ormond Street Hospital, it is one of the best paediatric hospitals in the UK. And so as a result, he's they've come and said, well, there's very little that can be done for him. There's the kindest thing would be to turn off life support and allow him to die comfortably and safely and so on. And as a result, the parents have kind of they raised an awful lot of money. I believe it came to like 1.4 million pounds. They tried to push back against this. There's an experimental treatment in the US, which they were kind of hoping to go and take advantage of, but then due to how late it is relative to the child being born this way, and the deterioration that has occurred, even the expert that would have provided the nucleoside treatment has said that it probably wouldn't be effective. It would be unlikely to make a difference. It wouldn't provide him any improvement, and potentially it would lead to nothing. And as a result, we've had political figures weighing in, most prominently Donald Trump and the Pope, who I will get onto later. But overall, this was then taken to the courts because obviously the parents, in a completely understandable move, didn't want their child to die, and as a result, they have taken that to the courts. And yet the courts, of course, on taking a look at the medical information, the expert opinions, further wider, kind of broader bits of research that have been brought in and applied directly with evidence to this child's condition, they have found on every single case all the way through from all the way through the UK, and now I believe also the European court system, they have ultimately found and ruled in favour of the hospital, and as a result they are to let the child die. And this is where it now starts to become a bit muddied, and this is where I have an issue with a lot of things going on at the moment, because you've got lots of people going, oh, but if they've raised the money, why can't you let them do it? And it's like, well, hold on, they would have to go to the US. It would be an expensive treatment. Their child would have to continue to be ventilated, medicated, and so on and so forth. Charlie is seemingly, considering the severity of his condition, he is not going to be easily moved. He's not going to be easily transported. And then subsequent to him being moved, receiving the treatment, then there is not a good chance by any stretch that the treatment will have any effect on him. And then furthermore, after that, he is still going to require things like life support. He is still going to require a substantial amount of assistance in various ways to remain alive. And that is not only going to require even more money, considering the United States healthcare system, and so on anyway, but also it could potentially prolong suffering. It could create further complications and more problems over a longer period. And as a result, all the way across the board in terms of the legal side of things, which the law is the end of things. There's no two ways about it. In which case then, though, the parents have asked to take Charlie home so that he could die at home and so on and so forth, and their request has been denied. And lots of people have been complaining about that. There is an issue here. The ruling has been made by the courts in favour of the doctors. You cannot purely then look to, as said, transport someone in Charlie's condition anyway, easily. The amount of other things that would need to be done to then accommodate that would be quite substantial. Allowing him to potentially die at home would be a much less clean kind of way of doing it. And on top of that, the parents have demonstrated throughout their continuous fight back against the experts dealing with their situation here, through the courts and through discussions with the other individuals who have gotten involved. They have demonstrated that they can't necessarily be trusted with their child's best interests. Yeah, this kid is literally unaware of the world around him. He is trapped in his own head, and he cannot live without a machine helping him. Yeah, his brain may be somewhat alive, but he's also experiencing quite severe epileptic fits, as said, and so as a result, he has been, and as a result, his body is essentially already a corpse. His body does not function, and as a result, his mind, in that confused, unaware, trapped state, it must be, to one extent or another, terrifying. I mean, maybe that's my thoughts on it from someone who has been aware, and then it would be the thought of me losing it. But one way or another, the child's body is basically already gone. Charlie's body is basically has already given up to one extent or another, which is a sad state of affairs. But at the same time, the parents seem to want to keep him around, want to continue to try and prolong this, and so on and so forth, to such an extent that I would say that it has become selfishness. And so then, looking at the situation and what they have done, and how their original concern and want for the betterment of their child and want to save their child has become purely selfishness, then I'm fully in support of the way that things are being handled, because they cannot be trusted with their child's care. If they were allowed to take him home, there is no guarantee that they would not abscond with the child to try and do something else in a way that was unsafe, in a way that was more detrimental to Charlie's health, and potentially might prolong his life for a very very tiny amount, but might make that so much more painful, might make the suffering so much worse. And so with this, then we've got the other people speaking up. Now we've got people going, oh, just let him go home and whatever else, and it's like I can sympathise with those people more, because they are trusting the parents as people in theory who have the best interests in mind for their child. I don't feel that they've necessarily displayed those behaviours, but I can believe people trying to give them the benefit of the doubt for whatever reason. In which case, to those people, I would say the hospital can provide an end in a much more clinical and clean fashion, and as a result of doing so, it also ensures that there isn't going to be a prolonging of the suffering or the damage done to Charlie. And this is why the hospital has turned down their request to take Charlie home to die there, because they want to supervise the entire thing and make sure that Charlie's end is the most peaceful that it possibly can be, without interruption of parents trying to do stupid things based purely on irrational emotion. The second group of people are the people that I have seen attacking the doctors at Great Ormond Street, and to them I would say, stop it. These people, these medical professionals, have two things in mind when they're looking at this stuff. First off, they are looking at the child's best interest and they are trying to help the parents. And they're human beings. This is going to be miserable for them. This entire situation has been miserable for them. Not to the same extent that it is for the parents, I'll grant you, maybe, but at the same time, they're not unfeeling, they're not unthinking. They are there and they do their job every day to take care of those kids that come in with these kind of conditions. And they want to make those kids better. They want to help those children. And sometimes, especially in the positions of authority that some of these doctors have, they have to make these hard decisions about whether or not someone can realistically be treated and whether or not that individual would then go, whether it would be worth it for that individual, whether it would be a prolonging of suffering, whether it would be a continued torture, or whether it would be making amends. The second thing that I've heard from several medical professionals that I've actually talked to in regards to this, as I'm kind of surrounded by them both in my family and out, is that there are lots of people with this condition. There are lots of people who are in a similar, as much as this is a rare overall situation, the actual condition of mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome does still occur throughout our population, and as a result, it's a situation that there are lots of parents in who end up losing their children. And yet it's incredibly unfair to single out this one specific situation. Like, it is what makes this one so much bigger than any of the others? Well, simple, the fact that the parents haven't been looking at the best interests of their child. They haven't seen that the situation that their child is in is one of potential kind of lifelong misery and suffering, and considering treatments aren't likely to work, they're seemingly more concerned about their loss rather than their child's loss, or the fact that their child isn't going to have something to begin with. And now I want to get on to the people who are actually sticking their noses in and making this political. First off, the Vatican. Firstly, of all the people who could chime in on this, of course it'd be the fucking Vatican. They have a horrific record in regards to sexual and reproductive health. They are incredibly backwards still, as much as they might make leaps and bounds to one extent or another. The Catholic Church at its core is still a very backwards organisation, and so having them go, oh, the little baby, we want to save the little baby, we want to do this, that and the other, that's all very well and good, but firstly, what about all of the other parents in this situation? And secondly, are you just trying to win points? Because otherwise, why even speak up? Why even encourage this kind of harming of a child, this prolonging of a child's suffering? Yeah? I mean, the Vatican, I'm sorry, I don't care whether or not you believe your magical man in the sky is granting you all of these powers and whatever else, all of these rights and so on. One way or the other, the law of the land, whichever land it may be, stands head and shoulders above yours, because it's a secular law that informs and supports and protects all of the people within that environment. In which case, considering this has gone up through the courts and it has been ruled in the favour of the medical professionals who have been caring for this child all along, you can keep your fucking nose out of it. Now let's jump across to the other big name, President Donald Trump, the living joke himself. So this person is supporting a healthcare bill within his own country that would adversely affect millions of Americans. He has come in now, though, just because, again, he feels he can win points to try and support these people. Because this baby's life and the rulings of law within this situation apparently mean nothing to him, and he wants to go and apparently take this up with Theresa May and bitch and whine. I'm sorry, tough shit. The ruling has been made. The professionals have been sided with every single time. The child's life is not going to be enriched by anything that anyone can do anymore. In which case, the kindest thing to do in this situation is end that individual's suffering. Surely. Like, I can't imagine how miserable this situation is for his parents, but at the same time, objectively, the medical professionals are the ones that take the step back. They do this day in, day out. They aren't unfeeling, but they have to have that professional detachment to allow them to make these decisions and to make the most effective choices in regards to care for an individual. So, considering that they have been sided with by the legal system, as well as they have so far done a seemingly very good job in trying to keep Charlie alive and help him, the opposition from world powers that makes absolutely no logical sense and would actively promote the continued damage to this child as he continues to deteriorate, and as he will likely only deteriorate faster if he is to be moved, or if he is to go and receive some experimental treatment that even the expert who would conduct that treatment has said would make no goddamn effect. It's troubling to me that emotion is winning out over knowledge and objective thought, and it bothers me that one random highlighted situation amongst so many others gains so much traction on the world stage just because people want to politicize it, just want to score points from it. And as a result, now looking at this with the parents and people going, oh, well, we've got this money, why won't you just take it? Why won't it just... Because, well, we won't take it because it doesn't help the child. They're being professional, they're being straightforward here, they're looking after the person that they are supposed to look after. And then further on from that, with the other issues surrounding, oh, but wouldn't this help other children in the future if he went and received the treatment and it didn't work, but then there might be more of it afterwards? Well, no, because that's not in the best interest of Charlie himself. You know who could go and help with that? The parents, who have already received £1 million and who could very easily set up a trust in their kid's name and do good by him. Make this whole fiasco where their selfishness has prolonged this entire thing, and where they have been obstructive towards not only people who are professional doing their job, doing the best that they can to care for their incredibly ill son, but also they're standing up against the legal system and they are pandering to the people who wish to politicize this. My words to them would be, allow your child to die peacefully with as little suffering as possible. Take that money that you were given to try and help your situation, and then make sure that both yourselves and anyone else in this situation will never have to deal with this in the future. Take that, fund the research, set up a trust, go and develop that, go and make your son's name and his unfortunate early death mean something. Because at the moment you are purely, completely out of his sphere of awareness. You are the main cause for this taking so long when a decision was suggested much, much earlier. And to those people, again, who are politicising this and just trying to score points for their side, fuck you people. Because quite frankly, if there was some empathy, some real empathy, like the people who were just like, oh, let him take the kid home, you know, let him die with his family or whatever. Those people, you're being empathic, and that's nice to see, but unfortunately, emotion isn't enough in this situation, considering everything that has gone on. But to those people who are just scoring points off this, genuinely, please go die in a hole somewhere. Because you are some of the worst people. You're politicizing the unfortunate situation that has befallen these people, befallen this child, the expression of an uncaring universe, and you are using it to try and win points, win votes, win support. For what? This news story will probably disappear from you in a few months at most. And those points that you have won will probably diminish as well. It doesn't help you. You being scum isn't helping this situation. Stop encouraging the obstruction of objective and professional people, of experts. And let the system that is already in place to deal with this just deal with it, as it already is attempting to. But anyway, I'm sorry this was a more negative video, but I have seen this stuff over the last few days and it's kind of really bugged me. And you know, there are these things in place, and there are these people who do their jobs and they do the best that they can to try and take care of us generally. And due to the anti-intellectualism and the politicizing of things and the kind of over-emotional state that things are presented in, like the only person who suffers in all of this is Charlie. So can we just let the people who have been granted the power by the authorities and who have been trying to do the best or do right by Charlie all along, can we let them just finish doing their job so that they can move on, his parents can move on, and everything in this can be learned from. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.